like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
The year 2025 arrives with an odd sense of déjà vu for anyone who has been following Jimin and Jungkook's story for years. It feels like the world has shifted and yet somehow stayed exactly where it needs to be. Their military service is over, routines have changed, responsibilities have multiplied, and their lives have grown heavier with maturity. But the moment the two appear together again on screen, something familiar slips quietly back into place. What people once analyzed before enlistment, every glance, every shared laugh, every strangely synchronized movement, returns just as vividly. Except now, it feels deeper, steadier, and almost disarmingly sincere. What used to look like scattered fragments now appears more like an entire picture finally becoming clear. Fans still talk about 2023 with a kind of fondness usually reserved for cherished memories. It was the year before everything paused, the year they filmed the first season of Are You Sure?, a program that initially sounded like a simple travel log but ended up revealing far more than expected. What was supposed to be a casual vacation series turned into something resembling a diary of two people who moved through the world with a rhythm only they understood. They walked through busy city streets as if no one else existed. They laughed like they were in their own universe. They shared quick glances that carried more meaning than dialogue ever could. They cooked, kayaked, wandered, teased each other, and let their guards down in a way that made fans feel like accidental witnesses to something intimate and unfiltered. In New York, they walked side by side like restless kids discovering a playground too big to ever finish exploring. In Jeju, they chased comfort food the way people search for home. In Sapporo, they exchanged those quiet, instinctive looks that said more than words ever would. Through every frame, there was a sense of trust woven into their interactions. A trust so natural it almost slipped by unnoticed. That season carried a softness, a quiet warmth that felt like a thinly veiled confession about how at ease they were with one another. Some jokingly called it a disguised honeymoon. Others simply said it was Jikook being Jikook. Whatever label people chose, the feeling lingered long after it ended. Fast forward to 2025, and the second season teaser drops like a spark in dry grass, subtle yet powerful enough to set the entire community ablaze. It begins with a scene that instantly becomes iconic. Jimin waking up, bare-faced, messy-haired, half-confused, while Jungkook enters the room with laughter spilling out of him. It isn't the loud, chaotic type of laughter. It's the warm kind, the familiar kind, the kind you only give someone whose presence feels like home. The moment lasts seconds, but it sets the tone for everything that follows. The scenery changes to Switzerland, where they drive through white valleys and lakes that shine like sheets of silver under the winter sun. The silence of the mountains becomes a backdrop to their comfortable chatter. They kayak together again, moving in sync the way they always do, as if time away did nothing to the connection between them. They cook in a tiny borrowed kitchen, bumping shoulders, sharing ingredients, laughing at the chaos they create. They try skiing, wobbling, falling, teasing each other like two kids on a field trip. They share clothes, hats, hoodies, things so small but so familiar it almost feels symbolic. Then the teaser moves to Vietnam. Warm air, bright colors, gentle ocean tides. They wander through markets, talk about life, and sit quietly by the beach. What surprises fans most isn't the scenery, it's the raw honesty in their conversations. Jimin opens up with a gentleness that feels new, as if time has softened the edges of his thoughts. Jungkook responds with the kind of sincerity usually reserved for late-night talks between people who deeply trust each other. When they mention that they were together almost every day for 18 months during military service, the line sends a wave of emotion through fans. It is not a confession, but it feels like one. This season promises 8 episodes, 8 windows into their world, into their dynamic, into the kind of bond that seems to shrug off every change life throws at it. The release schedule itself feels intentional, like a slow drip of warmth during winter, 2 episodes every week from December 3rd to the 24th, as if the universe planned a holiday gift for those who have followed their story for nearly a decade. But among all the clips, one moment becomes the focal point of global discussion. Jungkook looks at Jimin with an expression so soft, so unguarded, that the internet freezes for a moment. It is not dramatic, not exaggerated. Instead, it's quiet, barely there tenderness, the kind that feels like a continuation of something viewers first saw back in season 1. It is the familiarity of that expression, the gentleness embedded in it, that sends fans spiraling into a storm of emotions. The trailer strings together scenes of snowy landscapes, shimmering lakes, forest trails, sunlit beaches, and bustling markets. But what people notice most, what they always notice, is the way the two move around each other. Their interactions feel effortless, unstaged, like second nature. There's no sense of performing for the camera. Instead, it feels like cameras happen to be capturing something genuine that exists regardless of whether anyone is watching. The kayaking moment becomes a fan favorite almost instantly. They laugh loudly, splash each other with reckless joy, and then, without even thinking, Jungkook steps in to help Jimin paddle when he starts getting tired. The gesture is small, but instinctive, like muscle memory. It's the kind of care that grows quietly over years. Another scene steals hearts, their forest walk. A thin beam of sunlight hits Jimin's face, and without hesitating, Jungkook reaches out to adjust Jimin's hat. It's a 2-second movement, quick and gentle. But there's something about the ease of it, about how natural it seems, that makes fans pause the video to replay it again and again. There are scenes of them singing in the car, sharing snacks, laughing at familiar jokes, and falling into that comfortable silence only people who truly know each other can share. And in the middle of all that simplicity lies the same old magic. The way they look at each other, the way they gravitate toward one another without thinking, the way they exist in each other's orbit like it's the most natural place to be. Vietnam gives fans another moment to treasure, the paragliding scene. Jimin stands with nervous laughter, shifting his weight anxiously. Jungkook's voice is calm beside him, soothing yet quietly firm, reassuring him with the kind of steady confidence that has defined their dynamic for years. The moment is tiny, but it encapsulates the way they function. One anxious, one grounding, one vulnerable, one supportive. All throughout the teaser, their habits repeat, habits fans know by heart. Jimin leaning in a little too close when he speaks quietly. Jungkook placing his hand on Jimin's back for balance or comfort. Their tendency to walk close enough that their hands brush naturally. These gestures are not new, but the consistency of them is what gives fans that familiar ache in the chest. Even in crowded scenes, something shifts when they're near each other. Conversations become softer, expressions gentler. They don't announce their closeness. It simply exists in every frame, every movement, every glance. It is a connection that refuses to fade, even when their lives grow busier, their responsibilities heavier, and the world's eyes more demanding. What makes their dynamic captivating isn't grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It's the quiet, persistent familiarity that follows them everywhere. It's the effortless way they fall back into old rhythms. It's the sense that nothing, time, distance, responsibility, can dull the comfort they find in each other. The Season 2 teaser, in all its simplicity, becomes something more than promotional material. It becomes a quiet reassurance. A reminder that the closeness people once saw isn't nostalgia or romanticized memory. It's still there, still living, still shining through every shared silence and every burst of laughter. For fans, this new season feels like confirmation of something they've always known. Jikook remains Jikook, warm, genuine, deeply connected. Two people whose presence in each other's life turns even the simplest moments into scenes worth remembering. They don't try to create magic. They simply breathe it into existence by being who they are.